After waking up on the 20th, and experiencing an attunement and vibrant upliftment in the divine light, as a result of Andre's irradiations in my auric field, I felt another presence with the signature of Christ consciousness, and a voice stated in my mind,
"This is the consciousness of Gaia, the planetary consciousness."
This voice said I had reached the platform of the 11th dimension, and identified itself as a collective planetary consciousness of the Logos of the Earth, the Dhyani Buddhas and Kumaras. They stated they were the sleeping willow tree, a metaphor for the I Am Presence powers that are dormant in us, like the tree of life. They said that when we are on that platform of the 11th dimension, that is as far as we go in consciousness at this time, and that they will be coming down. I asked if this coming down was related to the landings and first contact. They explained that this reunion relates to the place we are in physicality, and apart from the idea of our state of consciousness reaching the 11th dimension for fleeting moments. They confirmed that we are physically in the lower levels of the 5th dimension, and some people are in the 4th. Then, some are lower because of their murderous mentality but will vanish from our perception, because there is a separation of reality taking place. As I descended again, I felt I was missing the higher levels upon which I had been for those fleeting moments. They told me upon which levels I was. The joy of being was more intense upon the 11th dimension. It was still extraordinary upon the 9th. By the 7th I said I didn't want to go lower. There really was a difference, but no words could describe it. I had to make some efforts to continue using my mental faculties above the 9th. As I went up, I made note of how it felt to record it for others. I am being helped by my ascended twin flame Andre at the time of recalling this experience. He says,
"I am now going to dictate. I was in your heart while you were experiencing a rise to the 9th dimension and higher to the platform of the 11th. Then the Logos of Earth, the Dhyani Buddha, came through, and you heard him explain that you have been given an assignment. You are concerned that it may look like an ego trip, but when you raise your consciousness, the effect for those you are connected with is that they also are lifted up. This is true and in relation to the ascension. You have forgotten to mention that healing is taking place, as a first effect in the process of rejuvenation of those bearers of the light who are ready and being ready for the process. An etheric envelope has been fitted upon most of the light workers, now that we are moving on with this last phase of the process, which is preliminary to an actual transfiguration, in which what will happen is that you, this first wave of ascension, will be taken upon the 5th dimension in a physical way. The Stargate was also mentioned in the process of your supernatural experience. You have forgotten that the Buddhas confirmed the solar system indeed is in the Stargate that we penetrated into on September 28. This is not something that can be perceived physically. It can be registered as a high concentration of photonic energies similar to the signature of a singularity by science. The solar system had been scheduled to penetrate this Stargate on December 21, 2012. But as explained by Archangel Michael in Part 2 of the YouTube Master Jesus and Christ Collective of July 11, we had not entered the Stargate on that date and had been in the photon belt since January 1, 1996. This Stargate is a means of activation and acceleration, the mirror effect of which is noticeable upon the world scene. You are entering an intense phase of disclosure concerning the truths that have been suppressed for hundreds of years. Many of the dark rulers that controlled the Cabal have been removed. These darker occult ones have attempted to sabotage the divine plan and manifestation of divine will, including the process of ascension. There is a twist in this story, as the soul extensions of higher selves have changed the timelines of what had already taken place. In this light, it is true that your present is indeed affected by your future. The dark ones have played their cards, but in this game they are not winning. They have failed in their endeavor to create World War III, and know that our galactic family plasma crafts have been deactivating their nuclear missiles, and removing the dangerous radioactivity of nuclear accidents. The Dark Ones are dismayed to see that they are losing their grip upon the leaders of the nations, as those in the West are now entering into agreements with those of the East, against the one enemy that is terrorism. Some leaders of the nations received the nefarious influence of the occult Illuminati for many decades. Particularly in the West, they have adopted certain concepts for their political policies, regarding them as acceptable. These leaders have recently had their eyes opened. They have received a new perception of reality. The massacre in Paris was the latest catalyst for this. The leaders of the nations have now been seen to change their rhetorics in a manner that was a little puzzling. This is the result of an activation manifested by the Stargate. It appears as a stratagem of the light, because instead of the effect of fear and hate in the population that the agents of darkness intended to create, the opposite has manifested. People have felt love and solidarity towards one another. Many questions are being exposed or disclosed. The process will be intensified at the same time, as solutions for the problems of the world are being sought. I am giving you these details so that you are not troubled, because what is happening in the world is very alarming. However, an awakening is taking place at the same time that this is going on. Rest assured it will develop into a series of events that will lead to an overall transformation of Gaia, in which all evil will have been purged, all cover-ups will have been exposed. The pinnacle time for this will be in March to April next year. Disclosure will be followed by enlightenment, when the light bearers will also be receiving teachings as a result of their developing an ability for telepathic communication. We will be moving on to the implementation of new technologies after political problems have faded away. Reunion will also be taking place as a result of an increased amount of contacts with the galactic family. We will be teaching as well as creating new Gaia, and will be preparing mankind for that other shift that is expected and so desired, upon the ladder of the dimensions. Those contacts will take place when pockets of areas vibrate at a high level enough, so that we will not feel uncomfortable when we descend. I mean when the ascended beings, as well as galactic ones, who are assisting with the process of ascension, descend and walk among you. I will leave you with this vision of hope that reinforces your faith, for I am a soul extension of Archangel Michael, also birthed by Archaea faith, his divine complement. So I have come to give you that faith which is the peace of the heart when you have an understanding with the third eye vision, that of mighty Cyclope, who comes with the emerald vibration of healing, and therefore Archangel Raphael, as well as the illumination of Archangel Uriel. And this is also brought to your attention by Archangel Gabriel, who announces the path of the ascension and the events that are unfolding. Archangel Michael is with you for your protection and the victory of the light that brings the freedom of Saint Germain, together with his violet flame, to mankind. It is the freedom that the whole of the material world is going to experience. Continue placing one step after another until the finishing line, and you are very close to it. All of heaven is watching you, and they are beside themselves with trepidation because the light workers are a great light to behold. At the same time there is suffering upon the world, and know that your prayers are always taken to the highest orders of heaven, to obtain dispensations for the archangels to enter into action on your behalf. We are around you constantly. We conclude this message with an intense irradiation of love and light to you.